Hello, friends. Welcome to the fifth and final part, I believe, of the Don Jones guided imagery. Today we're working with picture 4, and this one is, I would say, the most controversial in my experience. Um, I'll read you the way it's originally written because that's not how I presented it in the first part of the series. So it says, for your fourth picture, you find yourself in a cave. You do find that it is safe and comfortable. You may even have started a fire, and you are sitting looking out at the rain coming down. You do feel safe inside this cave. All of a sudden, a sensation or feeling comes over you. It is a sensation of feeling, I am not alone. And this is your fourth picture. Now, what this fourth one is looking at, since it's a part of the second two, we're talking about internal motivations and patterns. This is looking at your higher power. What is it that you give energy to? Basically, is something good. If you're religious, then it may be very comforting, get the feeling you're not alone. Maybe you feel that you have a guardian angel there, or that Jesus is there and loves you. Stuff relating to God often. Or are you someone who is much more pessimistic? Are you seeing a monster in this cave? It's supposed to be open to both, but I feel that I've heard of an exception where it went good. Someone saw 3 people and they didn't know what it was, and then it occurred to them that they have 3 children. So what they give their energy to is their family and their children. I've only ever seen it go neutral or negative. Neutral being there's bats in the cave. It didn't hold any significance to the person. I mean, they love nature, but they more so thought, what lives in a cave? Bats live in a cave. Or monsters. Especially I'm in the US, in Western society in general, a phrase like "you are not alone," it evokes a sense of like horror movies, because you thought you were alone, then you get the creepy feeling that someone's watching you, and you get the goosebumps and the hairs on the back of your neck start to go, especially because you are in a cave. A cave is a place where you are trapped. You're trapped, and now you feel that you're not alone. So even when the wife came, that person was born and raised in Asia, so it not necessarily is just only a Western thing to view it as a negative. But it's cold, it's dark, it's rainy. We quite literally just said that there were monsters in this cave. And now we are in the cave. I told you there are about at least 2 people that I talked to who said, I'm not going into this cave. There are monsters there. I'm not dealing with the monsters. I'm not drawing attention. I won't light a fire. I will stay out in the rain in a cave, in the tent, sorry. I am not going into the cave. And now I just put you in the cave and I lit a fire. Possibly you didn't even deal with the monsters at this point. People who didn't enter the cave. And now I just put you into the cave, and say you're not alone. It often gives a very terrifying feeling. Some of the more interesting or neutral, I'll tell you what mine was. I got this image that I drew of a big shadow, a big monster, and I got very nervous, and then it turns out that this big shadow belonged to a little rabbit. And so it's true that I give a lot of power and energy to worrying about what could be. That often the problem is bigger than my mind than it actually is in reality. Usually I have the resources to handle problems that come up, but the way that I think about it and worry about it, it becomes larger than life. Someone else I did it on, their cave had a whole bunch of little creatures. Worms and bats and raccoons and mostly bugs. And so they're not afraid of any big thing, but they do get burdened and overwhelmed by all the small things, all the chores that they have to do, and all the appointments that they have to make, and all the calls that they have to return. And they just feel their energy being drained and sucked from them by all the things that they have to do. So it's interesting, what you give power to. I've heard some people ask the question, if you had to choose, you could have the best thing that makes you happiest, or you can choose to never feel the worst pain. I'm sure there's a better phrasing for that, but which would you choose? Would you choose to be as happy as possible, knowing that you could very much get hurt, but at least the thing that you most wanted? That might be what it is. Do you get the thing you most wanted or avoid the thing you most fear? Or are you willing to not be the happiest you possibly could? That you may love something and you may love someone, but you would rather avoid the pain. And if you could secure a life where you are promised you'll never experience the pain, but you'll never experience anything that makes you that happy, is that the choice that you would go for? So that's kind of what part 4 here is looking at. What are you giving your power to? What are you giving your energy to? I just said you're not the only one. Even that applies to who. Again, we might want to do a what. You're not alone is what it is. So what is it? Is it positive? Is it negative? Did you find your family there? A surprise re-encounter like that? Is it something religious? So what this one says is, quite literally, in what or in whom are you placing your personal power? In what or in whom do I rely on and trust? What feeling came over you as you heard, I am not alone? What holds your energy? Is it a warm light, being comfortable, at peace within? A higher power, God, Jesus, guardian angel, your spiritual belief, your cultural heritage, values of a clan, the elders or ancestral spirits, your peers, family members, a controlling person, someone that controls you might show up when you thought you were doing this personal growth journey, and all of a sudden they found you. An intimate friend, an intimate other, a friend, a deceased person. Is it grief, an independent and confident self? The monsters within that you fear, paranoia, unresolved issues, resistance, an attitude, putting on a mask, the jokester, Pollyanna, or the darkness of the past. Was what you put down on paper the first option you thought of? What changed your mind? Were you afraid of what others would say? Is the person's energy being used positively or negatively? What controls them? Being a victim? And having other options there. What is the image saying? What is in the picture? What is the image not saying? What is not in the picture? Is what you pictured metaphorically reflective of a general pattern you experience in life, having faith, a belief system, reliance on a group, always living in fear? Or is it reflective of what you are feeling at the present moment, an awakening to the spiritual after an uplifting experience or a recent trauma? Give an example in your life of how your picture reflects where you are at in the general scheme of things. Do you want to change how you feel or where you put your energies? What can you do to change the picture? This is an assessment that your answers may change. If you give it a couple times a year, you might know what the answers are. You might have forgotten what the questions were, but in times when you were very stressed or you're dealing with one, maybe if you're going through a breakup, a really bad breakup, or trying to leave certain narcissistic individuals in the past, maybe you have just started a new job and you're having issues there, or maybe you are happy, maybe you just got back from vacation, maybe you just had a birthday party, maybe you saw a friend you haven't seen in a long time, or maybe you just met someone and you're falling in love again. The answers to how you solve problems and your other sort of relational, interpersonal patterns and what you give energy to, all those things, they change. They do change often. So I changed the ending to being outside the cave where we're safe, where it's open. I also think it gives a conclusion to the 4 parts, because otherwise we just leave you in the cave and you never finish your journey. So this way you see the car, and I leave it open to who might be there. So your family or your friends might be at the end of the path. Well, you might not have thought of them being in the cave, but if you just run into someone at the end, that may be more telling. I changed it to that choice because I felt that it gives the same setup of where do you give your energy. I think it assesses the same thing. It's just an attempt to get rid of the more terrifying aspects, the monsters, the cave, the you are not alone kind of dun 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 creepy vibes. But it's up to you, the way that you want to do it. You can do it the way it's written, or you might change it even more from there for your phrasing. Let me know in the comments if you have a better idea for how you want to resolve the fourth image. All right? See you next time, friends.